Well, February's over and I read 16 books. Can I say that I was a little disappointed by some of my reads? I mean, I went into a handful of them thinking they were going to be top tier, and they just weren't. And then I had some come out of the blue and pop up as a 5-star, oh my gosh, this book is amazing. And I wasn't expecting it, which is kind of fun. So let me tell you what I read this month, and you let me know what you think. First book I read was A Sea of Unspoken Things, and this was a slow, almost spooky murder mystery. Adrienne Young, to me, writes a lot slower and kind of weaves through the story, which I was perfectly in the mood for. I loved it. James and Johnny are twins, and when Johnny is shot, James is trying to fill in the gaps. What happened to Johnny? Why was he shot? Why was he in the middle of the woods? Why was there a pink backpack found with him? What's going on? So that was a really good, kind of slower mystery, slightly suspenseful story. I really loved her Unmaking of June Farrow book. So I'm familiar with her writing, and this kind of followed the same weaving, winding writing style. But I loved it, and I think I was perfectly in the mood for it. It started the month off pretty strong. I gave it a good solid 4 stars, and it definitely makes me want to get into Adrienne Young more, and when I'm in the mood for it, she just hits the spot. Then I read The Crash by Freida McFadden. I have read many of her books before, and I know she can be kind of predictable for me anyway. But this one, it just didn't hit the spot for me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I can precisely put my finger on it, but it had the makings of a good thriller. It had the makings of a good suspense novel. I just felt like there were a lot of areas that it fell flat, and I expected it to go one direction, and I was thinking, this is going to be good. This is going to be great. Oh, we didn't go that far. Oh, we kind of cut that short. Oh, that scene didn't go as deep as I thought it was. So I gave The Crash 3 stars. It was enjoyable. I finished it. It just wasn't exactly what I needed. Then I picked up The Berry Pickers. I randomly found this one at Barnes & Noble, picked it up because it was the perfect amount of floppiness, and it has a really cute cover. Didn't expect much from it. Had a good rating on Goodreads. Sure, I'll try it. It's a cute book. Oh my goodness. I read this book in 5 hours flat. I did not put it down once I picked it up. I'm telling you, I avoided all of my responsibilities. The children can fend for themselves. I need to finish this book. It was so good. It was a very unexpected 5 stars for me. I think as a daughter myself and a mother, this book just hit in different aspects than I think if you didn't have children. It's just this other level of understanding of being a parent and being a mom that just, it just hit me in the right spot, and I could not stop reading it. I think there were literally probably 5 times where I said, wow, in the book as I'm reading it out loud. Wow. When I'm telling you, I was surprised how good it was. I was pleasantly surprised. I loved it. Highly recommend The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. Okay, I am gonna throw in, I had 2 DNFs this month. The first one was Mile High by Liz Tomforde. And I got this one as an audiobook from Libby. Oh, sure, I'll listen to a quick audiobook while I do some chores. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because the audiobook or the actors, sometimes they just don't hit right for you. I couldn't do it. It was too cringy. I cringed one too many times, and I was thinking, you know what? I don't want to cringe anymore. So I DNF'd it about 40% of the way through. I couldn't finish it. Then I picked up Cross My Heart, which is an Aardvark book club pick. And I got it because it had a cute cover. It was pink. I love pink. I mean, look at this cover. It's so cute. Didn't really expect much from it. It kind of had a mid to high 3 rating on Goodreads. So I just thought, you know what? It'll be a fun, cute read. Not that much. I was surprised. I was shockingly surprised. I tend to pride myself on the fact that I can normally figure out what's going on in kind of a suspense thriller book. No, I did not see this one coming. Is she a stalker? Is she not a stalker? Is she crazy? Is she imagining it? Is somebody doing something to her? It was like a back and forth, which I thought was great. And I love when they lead you towards one person and you think it's supposed to be this one person. And I'm thinking, no, this is too direct. It's got to be this other person. And then you kind of can't figure out who it is. That's great. Love that. There was a lot of times where I could not figure out who had bad intentions and who had good intentions. What are we doing? What's happening? It was solid 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great read. Then I picked up the viral Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I feel like I'm coming into my Ali Hazelwood era. I went through my Abby Jimenez era. Now I'm deep in Ali Hazelwood and had to get Deep End. I mean, look at this book. It's beautiful. The cover, the edges, so cute. Scarlett and Lucas are so cute. They have such a good story. I liked the athletic swimmer Olympics background part to it. I will say I did originally rate this 5 stars, and after thinking about it for a while, I knocked it down. I would probably say to a 4.5, but Goodreads doesn't do half stars. So it's a 4 star. But I knocked it down a little bit because it could kind of been hyped up as a kinky novel. And while there was discussion in the novel of kink and this kind of thing, in the actual spicy scenes, there wasn't much in it. So I was kind of let down a little bit. I mean, they have this whole, it's not really a spoiler, but they had a whole scene where they exchange their kink list and then proceed not to do any of it or experiment. I thought that was going to be the fun of it, the spice of it. You like what I like, let's do this. I don't know. I felt after thinking about it, I kind of was let down a little bit. So it went from a 5 to a 4 star for me, but still a solid story, still an original. Her writing is really good. Kept me intrigued the whole time. Swoon-worthy, still loved it. Then I picked up a mafia romance from Kindle Unlimited. Just needed a palate cleanser, wanted something that's pretty much solid for me. And I picked up Little Mouse by Emily Rose. And I couldn't do it. I read about 30-40% of it, and it was just, it was too cringy for me. I couldn't do it. The male main character essentially rescues her from a not so good situation from her family and kind of has to convince her, hey, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to save you. But you're locked in my house and you have to stay here. Which, yeah, okay, kind of gave me like Beauty and the Beast vibes, but after a while, it wasn't doing it for me anymore. It's like, okay, can we give her some more information and let her know what's actually going on and not keep her locked up? Because I felt like the jump from her not believing him to the spicy scenes was a little harsh. Like, realistically, who's gonna jump to that so quickly? That's my opinion. So I set that one down. Thank you, Kindle Unlimited, for letting me borrow it. I'm going to politely give it back. Then I surprisingly got a DM on Instagram for this arc, Karma Never Sleeps, directly from the author, which I had never experienced before. Checked out the book on Goodreads and what it's about, and I was like, you know what? Sounds like a good thriller. Let's try it. So I actually got the arc of Karma Never Sleeps at the end of January, and it took me a while to be in the mood for it. I had to be in just the right mood. Finally, I was thinking, you know what? I'll pick it up. I'll try it. And I was hooked. This is another one of those thrillers where I think it's going to go somewhere. It's got to be this guy because he's unexpected, and it's not that guy. It's not that guy. It's not that person. It's actually not that person. It kind of just went all over the place in a good way where you just really weren't sure what was going to happen next. So there's a group of friends in this small town, and after the second one is murdered, FBI is called in. So the main character is this guy, Gus Wheeler, and he's an FBI detective. He comes in to check out and see what's going on, and what you think is going on is just the surface. Once he gets in and starts finding things out, and you get the POVs from some other women in the group and other people in the town, you just really don't know where it's going to go. It got really suspenseful. It just picked up real quick. I actually gave this a 4.5 stars. It was almost perfection for me. There were a couple of moments where it got a little slower, but other than that, I loved it. The writing was great. The story was great. I'm ready to follow this detective to his next town, his next mystery. I really like this, and I'm so thankful that the author jumped into my DMs and offered me this arc. That was great. I loved it, and I'm happy to promote this one because I really loved it. After that thriller, I needed something a little bit lighter. So I picked up Happy Place. Can't go wrong with Emily Henry. She is consistently great. Good stories. I know there's going to be a happy ending. And I really loved in this one, I loved that they had to come together at this happy place that used to be a happy place for them. And they wanted to keep it a happy place, but at the same time, they have to pretend like they're still in a relationship. I thought it was an interesting storyline, and also so sweet of this couple trying to find their way either back together, or are they gonna separate? What are we gonna do? Let's try it, let's not try it. It was a good, satisfying struggle throughout the book, and I gave this a solid 5 stars. Solid. Great story. No comments. No criticism. Emily Henry, solid every time. Then I got Scythe and Sparrow in the mail, and I've done another video on the whole trilogy already, but solid 5 stars. Brynne Weaver does it again. She's great. I love the banter. I love Rose's story, and she comes from the circus, and she does tarot card readings, and Fionn and his past, and how he kind of fights it, and what does he really want, and does Rose fit his ideal woman, and their kind of struggle with each other. It was great. I love Brynne's writing. I love the audiobooks as well. The duet narration is perfect in all of these books. If you haven't watched my other video on this trilogy, you have to do it because serial unaliver romances are supreme for me. 5 stars. Then I was recommended a book by a Bookstagram bestie. She recommended Dark Matter to me, and I bought it at Barnes & Noble and had it sitting on my shelf, and finally was like, you know what? Let's take the plunge. My husband also wanted to watch the show, and my favorite thing is to read the book while he watches the show, and then I end up reading the book faster than he watches the show, and I'll end up watching the rest of the series with him. We did that with Outsider by Stephen King. And so did the same thing with Dark Matter. I flew through it. It was so good, so unexpected, so twisty. Everyone told me it was great, but once I got into it, I was shocked. There was one part, I literally had goosebumps, and I'm sitting here with my mouth open. I cannot believe that just happened. Then I went and watched the show with my husband. It was so good. I think a lot of TV, they add more stuff than there needs to be because it's on TV. It was an awesome sci-fi thriller novel. So Jason's walking home from the bar, and he gets forced at gunpoint into a vehicle, told to drive to this place. They inject him with something, and he wakes up. He's strapped to a gurney. He has no idea who he is. Everyone else thinks that he's done all these different things, and he's much more accomplished than he is, and he realizes like this is not the life he was just in. And then you go down this journey that's wild, to say the least. Wild. And he basically has to choose. Is he going to sacrifice for his wife and his son. Like, how far do you go? It's great. It's phenomenal. 5 stars. If you're in a sci-fi thriller and you haven't read Dark Matter, why not? Get to it. Then we need something. We, as the mood reader, needed something a little softer. So Elsie Silver, Here I Come. I think Elsie Silver, Abby Jimenez, Emily Henry, Ali Hazelwood, they're all just solid. You know, jumping into one of their books, it's gonna be great. So I jumped into the first of the Rose Hill series, Wild Love, and it was so good. It was so good. What I loved about this one is the history, because they kind of grew up together, and then she comes back in town and it's his best friend's sister, and it's kind of that forbidden love to it. And he says all these things that I was in the mood for. Might seem cheesy. You know, he races, breaks the speed limit to go find her. He wants her wildness. Like, it was just a great amount of cheesiness. And I am about to jump into book 2 to start off my March. And I think it's a solid 4 stars. All right, here's where I'm disappointed. I read/listened to The Poppy War. And there's so many amazing ratings. Like, it's a 4.1, I think, on Goodreads. What did I just read? What was that? I understand it's fantasy, and it's war, and it's battle, and it's all the building. I wasn't invested in the female main character. I don't know if it was just me. Like, that's a really cool story, but I felt like there wasn't enough connection with her that I really cared what happened to her. And as things are revealed, as they are in a fantasy novel, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't excited. I wasn't looking forward to seeing what happens now that we have this new information. Was it me? I've read many fantasy novels. Many. Why couldn't I connect with this one? And the thing was, with Audible, I could either buy the trilogy for 1 credit, or I could buy 1 book for 1 credit. So I bought the trilogy. I have the other 2. Do I continue it? Do I keep going? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm invested enough. I don't know. It's just going to sit in my Audible library. I don't know. And I got this really nice, fancy copy of The Poppy War. Did I love it? I gave it a 3 star. It was missing something for me. I don't know what it is. Then I picked up an ARC from NetGalley. The book's called Save the Day by Allison Raskin. It was good. It was cute. Emma is a therapist, and she gets broken up with by her fiance 6 months before her wedding. So she decides that instead of canceling the entire wedding that's paid for, she's just going to find a new groom. Very interesting concept that I believe, if I understand correctly, it happened to the author of the book. And I think it was a good idea. I gave it a solid 3 stars. I enjoyed it. But I did feel like it was a little bit surface level. I wanted to get to know the person she ends up with, because I just felt like the chemistry wasn't shown as much. It was talked about, wasn't shown as much. Would have liked to get a little bit more from it, but it was a good solid 3 stars, and might be somebody else's 5 star. Who knows? It was good. And I got another ARC called Single Chance, which is a single dad romance in a small town. I did realize after the fact it's a 3rd book in an interconnected world. So I have not read the first 2, but I really liked book 3, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything. Single dad, he's got a 14-year-old daughter, and Rowan comes into town and she needs help. She's struggling. She needs help. She ends up having a one-night stand with the single dad, Chance, and some things happened, and now we've got more responsibility than we needed to have with a one-night stand, and I really liked how it played out. My favorite part of the whole thing was there wasn't a miscommunication trope, which I absolutely despise. The bottom of my soul. I want there to be adult communication. If I have a problem with you, if you have a problem with me, let's communicate. I hate the assuming and the running around and the pretending and can't stand that. So I really appreciated that. Thank you so much, Amy, for writing adults in your book. So that was a really cute book with a good ending. I gave that a solid 4 stars. Then I listened to Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood, which from my understanding is an audio only book, and it was a quick book. It was probably 4.5 hours, and it was cute. I do wish there were more. I really liked the couple, and I wanted to read an epilogue. I want to hear more about what's happening. There are 2 video game designers who, based off miscommunication, it appears that he doesn't like her, and they have to go to a retreat together. They're 2 opposing companies and try to work together, and so Spice happens, and she's like, hey, what's up? I still really liked it. I thought it was a good, solid 4 stars. It was a good listen. The voice acting was good. I think I listened to it in a day. Ali Hazelwood, another solid. And then I read 2 ARCs that are part of a series, and they're both novellas. Mission and Escape, and there's about to be a 3rd one. I'll get the ARC for that. So all 3 of these are going to release soon if they haven't already by the time you see this. They're short, interconnected series, and short and sweet, less than 100 pages each, and I think it's a good little romance, good little fill your cup, a little bit of serious involvement, interaction with war, but I'd recommend it. I think they're good. So these are the 16 books that I read in February. I think it was a good mix of genres. I feel like I was missing a little bit of fantasy. I am still trying to work through Brandon Sanderson Mistborn series. I'm wading through book 2. I think it's a really good book. I think Mistborn was really good. And now in Well of Ascension, it's great, but almost like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, there's just so much detail that it's a lot, and I feel like sometimes I'm trudging through it. Even though I enjoy the story, it's just a lot that I have to retain almost. So I'm hoping by the end of March that I will finish at least Well of Ascension, if not Hero of the Ages. That would be great. I could just finish those out. But I will let you know if I finish that. What did you read in February? How was it? Did you enjoy anything particular? Have you read any of what I've read? What do you think? Of all of this, I would recommend The Berry Pickers by far. Loved that one. I thought it was a great, solid 5 stars. I would also recommend Dark Matter. I think if you haven't read it and you like sci-fi, it needs to be at the top of your list. Those are my top 2 for the month. And my most disappointing was The Poppy War. I thought it was going to be so much more. Anyway, I won't rant into it again, but that's my wrap up for February. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what I should read next month.